Joining us right now to give us a little insight in his take is our pal Scott Abraham from ABC7. What's up, Scott?
Happy holiday, boys.
Yeah,
Two-man show. I like it.
You recovering from Christmas? Did you have to do, you have young kids, you have a daughter, I believe that's my daughter's age. Did you have to do some building when the kids went to sleep?
Dude, like, it's like Fort Knox trying to break into these doll boxes and trying to snap them out of their packaging and build the Hot Wheels set. It's been fun, but it's also very time consuming. I've been up here in Pittsburgh for the last week with my in-laws because we do Christmas up here every week and talk about getting spoiled. But that's the best part of the holidays. You know, you guys have been through it. Mm-hmm. Having the young kids and seeing the smiles and the Christmas magic. That's what it's all about.
Hey, before we get to the Commanders Falcons, you're up in Pittsburgh. Not sure if your in-laws are Steeler fans, but what are they saying up there? What's the local media saying about the possibility? Do they want to stay with Russell Wilson?
Yeah, I mean they're worried, but they also look at the schedule and the gauntlet that they've just gone through. I think they've gone through where they have Philly, Ravens, and then the Chiefs. I mean that's a heck of a stretch. So I think they're taking comfort in the fact that he went through just the hardest part of their schedule, and they got to win these next couple of games for them to get in the playoffs. They have one game left. I don't even know.
No, they're already officially in the playoffs.
Yeah. Okay. So they're the division.
The division. Yeah.
Right, with the Ravens and.
But there's no chance the Ravens are losing to the Browns if it comes down to so the division is done. But I was just wondering if fans are freaking out that Wilson's look so bad.
I think it's funny because, talking to a lot of the cousins and the aunts and the uncles at, Christmas Eve dinner, they're kind of sick of Mike Tomlin. And it's funny hearing them say that because from the outside perspective, you just see a guy that's been so consistent in winning seasons after winning seasons. But the people I've talked to in the family, they're kind of sick of Tomlin, and they like to maybe get some new blood, new energy, which I understand kind of a little bit from that perspective as well.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's hard to find a guy who just wins every season.
Goes to the playoffs every year. Yeah.
Why don't you tell them about the coaches we've had here?
Well, they like to call themselves City of Champions, boys, and they just won all those Super Bowls, and they haven't had one in a while, so they're spoiled in that sense.
Yeah. All right. So your thoughts on this game? It's interesting because, I didn't think they were going to beat the Eagles. Actually, let's go back to the Eagle game. So let's talk about that result. Incredible performance by JD with the 5 touchdowns. They caught some breaks, obviously, and we've touched on it a billion times. Losing Hurts killed the Eagles, I thought, and they only kicked 4 field goals in the second half. Devontae Smith dropping that ball probably cost them the game, but whatever. They still had to drive down the field and score a touchdown, and they did. So great win for Washington. They got their signature win. Did that kind of surprise you the way they did that? Because it surprised me.
It did, and it just shows you this team is never out of a football game. Whatever the score, whatever the time is left on the clock, this team has a chance, and a big reason why is obviously Jaden Daniels under center. He has that clutch gene. You just can't coach, you just can't teach. Certainly he had that bad interception, and they got a break with Devontae dropping the pass, and Jaden took the ball and made up for that mistake. And that's what you want to see. Guy with a short memory, unfazed, and it was a tremendous win. Yeah, certainly they got the breaks of Jalen Hurts being hurt, but they made their adjustments of trying to slow down Saquon in the run game in the second half, getting after Kenny Pickett, making him uncomfortable. And it was great to see, again, just the stadium and to see the fan base, how they've come alive and gotten behind this team, and they're 10-5 with 2 games left in the season, and nobody would have thought they'd be 10-5 with 2 games left in the season. And here we are talking about a win and in situation, Sunday Night Football coming to town in your home stadium against the Atlanta Falcons. It's been a fantastic season, and you got to consider this a success. I mean, absolutely way ahead of schedule, and it's been awesome.
Let's get into some particulars. So, looks like Jonathan Allen could play on Sunday. How big is that for the defense, in particular, stopping a running game that's pretty strong there in Atlanta, led by Bijan Robinson?
Yeah, you need John Allen, he's a Pro Bowler. He's been there, done that, and he's a body, and he's a really big and good body, and he's going to have that extra burst and extra, first step because he's been missing. He's been dealing with the pec, so certainly he's going to give some intensity and just the presence of him being on the line is a game changer because you can obviously another guy to rotate with the bodies they have already in place. And you know what's going to happen on Sunday night, guys. They're going to get the ball to Bijan Robinson, and that's going to be the game plan. He's going to touch the ball 25 times. I think last game against the Giants, he had 2 catches, and then he also had 22 carries 24 times. And then the game before that against the Raiders, he rushed the ball 22 times.
Yep.
That's going to be their recipe. They are going to feed Bijan Robinson. So that's what Washington's got to do. They got to somehow stop him, slow him down. And I think the key is to try to make the rookie, Michael Penix, beat you with his arm. Whatever you do, mission number 1, in my opinion, is stop Bijan Robinson. Let anybody else beat you, especially that rookie quarterback, under the bright lights for the first time in an NFL stage and see where it goes. I think that's got to be the key to stop Bijan.
Should Commanders fans be a little concerned with the Marshawn Lattimore situation? They make the trade right after the deadline or right before the deadline, and then he doesn't play after the deadline for a few weeks, finally plays in the Saint game. Certainly a factor in that game, but, it's not like the Saints can throw it on anybody. But had some issues in the Eagle game, but re-injures the hamstring. So don't know if he's going to play. Maybe you got more information, but I don't think he's practiced all week. So he
hasn't practiced. She hasn't practiced the last 2 days. Right. Obviously, we'll have a better understanding when DQ talks later today. But I'm concerned. This is a guy you traded for, and you went through all the medicals, and hamstrings and soft tissues are tricky things. That. The calf, the hamstring, the quad. And it's very easy to re-injure them. It's frustrating, and I know the fan base is very frustrated. I chuckled because I saw somebody tweet at me saying this is Curtis Samuel 2.0. If you remember when Curtis Samuel was here, he always had the injury bug. So you'd love to have him out here. He's an all-pro, Pro Bowl corner. Should lock down a Drake London on one side of the field. But if he's not, you're going to have to do, Benjamin St. Juice, Mike Sanders
right.
still.
Right.
Yep. You're going to have to do a combo of, Noah Igbenogany. Guys are going to have to step up. And that's just unfortunate because, you trade for a guy, a Marshawn. You give up a pretty good haul to New Orleans to get Marshawn, and he hasn't really, let's be honest, he hasn't really made that big of an impact so far. But you got to get him healthy. If the goal is to win a Super Bowl and make a run here, you sit him because there's a darn good chance this team's going to the playoffs, a very high probability. So, I would, if there's a question, you sit him, and you got to hope that he'll be ready for the wild card round, or somehow if they win the division.
Yeah, I would just, I'd be concerned because you just mentioned it. I mean, Drake London, he can do some damage.
Yep.
Now Penix, we don't know what to expect from Penix because Penix looked good against a horrible team last week, so didn't have to do much. So, and then if you somehow lose to the Falcons and then you play Dallas, well, if CD plays, that's who he would be covering, right?
No, CD's done for the year.
Oh, he's done for the year. Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they shut him down yesterday. I think I read that. But he's been, Marshawn's been in 2 games for Washington. So the people that have been on the field, the St. Juice, the Sandra Stills, they've been playing with each other all season. So it's not going to be like that big of a change, right?
Right.
My thinking is if there's any question that he's going to re-injure it or he's going to be, he's going to play and then get hurt again, don't try it. Just sit him. Have the trust in St. Juice, have the trust in Sandra still. They've played, 15 weeks together. Yes, they've had some warts, but you got to believe when the lights turn on, they're going to rise to the occasion of what's at stake on Sunday against the Falcons. And you got to hope Marshawn heals up, and obviously he'd be a luxury and great to have if he's healthy for the playoffs. But I think with hamstrings, it takes time, and if he re-injured it, it's not great. I dealt with a hamstring injury myself playing tennis this summer, and I popped it twice in a matter of 3 weeks. So they're tricky. They're very tricky.
Talking to Scott Abraham from ABC7. So let's kind of look ahead. We did a segment the other day, like Christmas wish list for the Commanders, realistic, with 2 games left heading into the playoffs. And, I mentioned Austin Eckler. How big will it be if he returns? And what are you hearing, if anything, about Austin Eckler's status?
Huge. And I think this offense misses Austin Eckler tremendously. I mean, he's such a weapon and Swiss Army knife in terms of, catching the ball in the backfield, the return game. And, Dan Quinn, I believe he spoke on Tuesday. He's not ruling it out. There's a good chance that Austin could play again this season. And what a boost that would be if he could come back for a playoff game. And the offense can just open up so much more with his skill set and the screen game and what he can do out of the backfield and just being another body of putting his hands on the football. Remember, Brian Robinson Jr., he fumbled twice last week. You never want to see that. And that's obviously an area of concern of protecting the football, holding on to the football. And, it'd be great to have Austin. He's been out, recovering from this concussion. So heal up, it's a grind. This is a long NFL season, and you want your best guys in those meaningful games, December, January. And here we are, 2 games left in the regular season. Washington, maybe getting John Allen back, maybe getting Austin Eckler back in the next couple of weeks. That's obviously progress and great to see if you're a Commanders fan.
Now, are you going to be back from Pittsburgh to go to the game?
Yep, I'm leaving Sunday morning, getting on the road at 8, and I'll be at the stadium by 3 o'clock and have live shots at 5 and 6.
Awesome.
I'm excited for winning in, and there's a situation where if Tampa loses somehow,
correct,
Carolina, that Washington is already in the playoffs when Sunday Night Football kicks off. But
right.
I think Tampa will beat Carolina, and it'll be a great atmosphere. I think it's going to be mostly, in my opinion, probably Commanders fans. I can't see Falcons fans invading Northwest Stadium like the Cowboys or an Eagles. No. So I think it's going to be electric, and I think this place is ready to explode if they win this football game.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's going to be a crazy atmosphere. The flex game, the island game, Sunday Night Football. Whether
and Jaden, everybody, he's a national brand now, guys. I mean, he's everywhere, and it's been awesome to see so many kids getting his jersey for Christmas. Like I posted a little thing on my X
I wanted
page
to
about
tee
this.
you up on that.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't expecting that type of response, but what really impressed me and surprised me about that when I asked, hey, send me your Christmas pictures holding a Jaden jersey, all the young kids having number 5 Jaden Daniels jerseys. I spoke to you guys numerous times on your program about how they got to somehow get this younger demo back with this franchise, supporting this franchise again. Be cool again. Jaden Daniels brings that cool factor like Lamar does with Baltimore. And to see all those young kids smiling, having that Jaden number 5 jersey under the Christmas tree, that was really awesome to see.
You had some old people in there, too. I mean, I think you got like 300 responses. You put it out so you can follow them.
It was awesome. It was. I was not expecting that, and to see, you're right. I mean, I saw a grandfather have the number 5, and dads and brothers and uncles and wives getting their husbands' number 5 jerseys. This team is all in on JD5, and this team is all, and these fans are all in on what this coaching staff and Adam Peters and Josh Harris they've done in year one. It has been phenomenal. So it's exciting to see the rebirth of the fan base in the young fans. I think that's the key element here is getting that young demo back to be like, you know what, this team is cool again. This team is it's okay to root for them and support for them.
Scotty, we kind of talked about this a couple of days ago, and there's so many unknowns because they still have to play a bunch of games here. But if Washington gets into the playoffs, let's just assume they could be a 6 seed depending on what happens. But if they're going to be a 6 or the 7 seed, so they could be playing Detroit. Who knows? They could be playing the Eagles. Who knows? Outside shot at playing the Rams. What would be, in your opinion, the best matchup in the first round, in that wild card round for Washington to go on the road?
That's tough. People probably think I'm crazy, but I'd want Philly again.
Wow.
You played them twice. You know each other. They know you. You should have won that game up there in the first meeting. You had the lead in the fourth quarter. I think Philly. I'd want Philly. I do. I think. I don't necessarily want to go on a fast track in Minnesota, fast track in LA with the Rams, with those offenses and those receivers. I give me Philly. I know you maybe think I'm crazy, but I just think in terms of knowing each other and the familiarity, I think that might be their best chance to pull off an upset and get a win.
I mean, the Eagles have two pretty good receivers too. You're talking about the Rams receivers.
Yep, they do. And yeah, that's what I'm going with, guys. I just think the familiarity and knowing what they do and how to defend them, and you go back to their last two games against them. They won this last one, and they should have won the first one. They play Philly close, and they know how to beat Philly. Give me Philly in the playoffs.
Look at that bravado.
You want to face Barkley again for the third time. Man, the guy's got 4 touchdowns against Washington.
Well, okay, so then you got Tyron, you got Aaron Jones, you got Justin Jefferson, you got Addison, you got Puka Nacua, you got Cooper Kupp. Every game's tough. There's no easy matchup in the playoffs, and that's the key. If you're in the dance, you got a chance. Anything can happen. I'd love to play Philly again.
All right, so Sunday night, what do you think happens? Does Washington get their 11th win?
I do. I think Jaden's really going to shine, and I think he's going to just show, this Penix in the national spotlight. This is not an easy situation for Penix. And I think if they somehow slow down Bijan Robinson, he's going to touch the ball 25 times a game, limit his big playability, and Washington's going to get out of there with a win because I think Jaden's going to shine again. And give me, I think the over-under is 47. Give me Washington to win 28-17.
Yeah. All right. Well,
do the math on that. That'd be an under, right?
45, right? So, So, all right. So have a good trip back from Pittsburgh, and have a great time on Sunday night, bro.
Yeah, boys. If I don't talk to you, Happy New Year as well.